Welcome everyone to another Orienteering USA Monthly Forum. This month we have Michelle Kastner, the going on 9 seasons series director for Cascade Orienteering Club's Winter League, which includes their WIL, Washington Interscholastic Orienteering League Scholastic Competition Series. The usual things apply. Please mute your microphone unless you are called on to ask a question. When we get to the Q&A section, please use the raise hand feature to get in the queue. If Michelle solicits questions anywhere during the presentation, same thing. If you want to put comments or questions into the chat at any time, feel free. We'll try to circle back to the questions that appear in the chat when we get to the Q&A. And if you're at all uncomfortable with the fact that this is being recorded, please leave or refrain from revealing yourself in the way that you're uncomfortable with. You don't have to share video. You don't have to talk, of course. With that, over to you, Michelle.
Thanks, John. Hi, as you said, my name is Michelle Kastner. I am the series director for Cascade Orienteering's Winter League series, going on my 9th season. I'm going to kind of give you some details and some background, a broad overview in the beginning, and then we'll get into some more details. I think maybe it's probably better to save your questions for the more detailed slides. So here we go. These are some of our kids. So Winter League is one of 5 Cascade Orienteering series, and we're one of the 2 competitive ones that Cascade offers. We're the series that hosts the school league, and we also host public courses. The Winter League series hosts 2 free trainings in October in 2 different geographical locations, a north and a south. We have 7 regular season meets that are competitive. The best 4 scores go toward your season score as an individual, and the top 3 runners from your school score goes toward your team scores. We have 1 championship meet. We have 1 very large community gathering and awards ceremony. I'd say probably 250, 300 people come to that. And we have about 100 people who come to a fun celebration relay at the end of the season. And then after that, we have 1 advanced training between WIOL and junior nationals. So that is our purview of everything we do. A Winter League meet itself offers 5 public courses. You can kind of see beginner to long advanced. We offer 8 WIOL courses, elementary school all the way up to collegiate varsity. The course designers design 9 courses to meet these needs. WIOL started in 1982 and has grown to be the largest school league in the United States. 505 students signed up for the 25-26 WIOL season. 85 schools were represented, including a record high 6 colleges. We started adding the collegiate category a few years back, and we're building that up. If you want to look at our meet numbers from last year, a quick overview. We have how many people told us they were going to be there, how many people actually started. We allow group members, and we also allow shadows for the elementary and the middle school courses. That is a parent who's worried about their kid being out in the woods by themselves. So if you add those people, we averaged 536 people with a map in hand going out every meet. We had a record this last year. We had 563 official starts at Winter League number 4 at the University of Washington. And with shadows and the group members I talked about, we hit 655 people through the start tents. That was crazy. When WIOL ends, Cascade offers advanced training, coaching, and the more advanced Ultimate Series that's run by Debbie and Ing to continue to build our athletes into USA team contenders. We also offer travel grants and heavily encourage participation at junior nationals. At least 1 and as many as 5 COC WIOL students alums have competed in every JWOC since 2013. This summer, I was asked to do a little promotion here. Traveling to Europe just this summer from Cascade are the following student athletes and coaches. So why are we so successful? Here's a few of the reasons I think. Our events are fun. We run a consistent and always on time product. We are very affordable compared to anything else out there. We are super customer friendly. We are good with the details. We have a large club who loves to volunteer. We reward and thank our volunteers. We have some amazing behind the scenes systems. We offer a place for community, and we allow runners to pick their own start time. To delve in a little bit on this, you know, people know what they're going to get, right? They know if their start time is 10:02, they know they're starting at 10:02. I have details on our affordability, but we are really the cheapest game in town. By being customer friendly, I mean, if you miss your start, we're bending over backwards to get you out. If you are emailing us beforehand, telling us when you RSVP that your kid has a soccer game at 1 and they can't run if they don't get an early start time, our registrar does an amazing effort to make sure that those kids who have other things to do can still get out. And like I said, we are really good at every single detail. Consistency on our product. Our students know what to expect in course quality, event logistics, and event dates. We send out a very detailed what you need to know email pre-meet on a consistent timeline. In other words, every Tuesday before the meet, the coaches are going to get a mail. And every Friday before the meet, the public's going to get a mail. It's going to tell them everything they need to know to have a successful Saturday. The way we're designed, if you have more friends running from your school, that's more students running for your high school, for example. That's more potential team points, more chances to get trophies. So that encourages other kids to recruit other kids and friends. We have the individual and the team trophies, the season and the championship trophies. We offer a big party at the end. We're super professional. We have vests, we have name tags. Our volunteers are very well trained. So we run a pretty steady, consistent event. We also have success because we mix the school league with the public runners. So we're offering something really for everyone. You know, you want to look at the upper left, you want to go out with your kids and show them a map, you can do that. You want to participate in a school team and be competitive, you can do that. You want to be a public runner out there, we offer awards in short advanced and long advanced on the public side. And it makes for a really nice symbiotic relationship because public volunteers, the public runs, the school kids get a very nice experience. And I couldn't wish throwing this in, we offer something for all ages. So how does a nonprofit with absolutely no paid employees put on 8 500-person events, 200-person trainings, and 100-person bonus relay all in 5 months? We do that with some great systems in place with dedicated and incentivized volunteers, both day of and behind the scenes. So we have 3 amazing computer systems. One is our public registration system. It is incorporated with our volunteering system. We do not use EventReg. We have our own system written by the amazing Peter Gouldy. You earn 1 volunteer point for every half hour of volunteering. You can go in and you sign up to register. You can pay with credit card or volunteer points. You can then go to the another tab and volunteer. And then you can go to another tab and you pick your own start time. That doesn't coincide with any volunteering you might be done. So this system has done a super great job of getting our day of event roles filled. And it exposes our customers to volunteering in general and is often a stepping stone into getting folks to do some heavy lifting behind the scenes. We also have a separate WIOL registration system. This allows the parent or the guardian to register their student for the season. They pay with either a credit card or volunteer points. Then they RSVP every meet, whether that child is coming or student runner is coming. And then they are able to let us know those special needs I was talking about earlier. And this allows the coaches then to register their students for the season if they want. So how it works is the ROTC coaches tend to want to register all their students, and the non-ROTC teams tend to just let the parents register their own. And this is set up to do both. And then the coach submits the attendance. Then our third software is written by Eric Jones. It's called Lost Time. So it combines all that entry information from both the public and the WIOL Reg systems onto the ePunch computer, creates a day of meet check-in and rental punch ePunch pickup forms, and it automates the process of creating and formatting our individual, our team, and our season results after each event. And I will say we are pretty amazing. I would say results are usually up, within 4 to 5 hours after the meet. Our ePunch team is simply amazing. So we have heavy lifting volunteers, and we have day of meet volunteers. Our heavy lifting volunteers are very deeply skilled in a series of attributes we need. And then we have about 25 pre-volunteered people who make their roles happen every day. And we have kids as young as middle school volunteering. So it takes about 80 day of meet volunteer hours and about 250 behind the scenes volunteer hours to successfully host just one meet. This is just some data I thought you might be interested in. So we had 99 different people volunteer. So 36 of those perhaps volunteered for 1.5 hours, and that was it the whole season. But that was great. That covered one shift at one meet. And so I should skip back and tell you that if you volunteer for 1.5 hours, that gives you 3 volunteer points. That is enough to get a free race. So you volunteer at Winter League 1 for 1.5 hours, you go to sign up for Winter League 2, and your race is free. So we have a really good project management system behind the scenes. We have ePunch, we have course designers and course consultants. We have 2 mapping coordinators who run a training to have mappers. So every single Winter League event has its own mapper. We have 1 to 2 course designers that are different for every single meet. We have a very setting and vetting team who are skilled in those needs for those jobs. I was asked on the dry run, so we flag on Friday night. We set starting at 6:45 in the morning, and then we vet after that for a first start at 9:42. We have a couple of, we have a dedicated training person who has a training of some sort before every meet. Sometimes it's a physical training with a mini course. Sometimes it's a game at the tent, and sometimes it's just going through maps and talking strategy at the training tent. We noticed that our very successful large teams had coaches that were doing a ton of work with their team before their meet. They were doing route gadget, they were doing map review, they were talking about, well, how did this course look 2 years ago or 4 years ago? And so we started offering what's called Before the Route. I think that's on Tuesdays or Thursdays before every meet. Carolyn Sambo hosts that version for any team that doesn't have a coach. So we have small teams, we have big teams, we have teams of 1 and we have teams of 40. Those teams of 40 are getting a lot more attention traditionally from their coach than that team of 1, and this tries to even the playing field. We have a land permissions person. We have actually CSC as a team, but 1 person on that team handles Winter League. We have a long-term registrar who's making sure all of those wild kids get those start times. And in case you're curious, we have a pretty stringent set of rules. If you run on the same course for the same team, you cannot start within 6 minutes. It's every 6 minutes. So if you run for Redmond High School varsity, you can start at 10 and the next person can start at 10:06. We have a really great day of meet management team. We have an equipment management team. We're so large that we are hauling in a trailer, and we have somebody who maintains that trailer and the equipment in it for the season. And then we have 2 other people who are fixing broken things and running to Home Depot when we need it. Like I said, we have the computer team, and we have a variety of folks who do one-off jobs. So we have 2 gentlemen, Will Enger and Patrick Ness, who host About the Route. So every Sunday after an event, you can dial into a Zoom and hear what you did, talk about what you did good, what you did bad. We have a series photographer, a treasurer. I have someone who just orders my porta potties, someone who's just posting to social media, and then I have a graphic designer doing my custom bibs and my custom signage. So that is kind of the overview. The next few slides are really like, how do we work as a well-oiled machine? So I'm going to pause and see if there's any questions before I jump into like the more detailed of what people do. No questions? Okay. So this isn't everything, but this was just me trying to do kind of a dump. So I, as the series director, I will start actually before the current season ends, figuring out what venues we want to go to for the next year. Then after the season ends, I will create the website pages. I will do all of the creating of that public reg, volunteering, start time config on the back end. I'm going to recruit our course designers. I'm going to send out, we have a course designers guide, we have a purple pen guide, and other tools. Then land permissions will get to work, acquiring venues and insurance, and they'll communicate our restrictions to our team and the course designers. Then they'll work with me to set an event arena. When you have an event this large, you really have to have a strategic kind of event arena and start. We have a set training area with training coordinator. Then they meet with the mappers. The mappers start map updating. Then the course consultants will use our course design guide once the course designer sends in their first round. So we have a very tight parameter of what elementary should look like versus what collegiate varsity should look like. And we tend to try and go a little bit harder from WIOL 1 up to champs. So the course designers will complete their courses, they'll write their course notes, they'll send the logistics coordinator where the event sign should be placed, and they'll send their final maps to Ing, who's our map orderer. She will make sure they're consistently formatted. She'll catch any areas of concern. She'll make sure we're doing maps for colorblind folks. She'll work with the register on the map numbers and then send it off to the printer. I'll then create a site map. Oops. I'll write the coaches what you need to know mails. I'll work with the training specialist. I'll post news on the website. I'll get that over to social media. I'll continue to monitor the start time signups. And if we are full on short advanced, then I will bump the start window. We usually end, our target is to end at 12:30 as last start. But we've had to push it to 12:40 or 12:48 when we become full in a certain category. I'll make the name tags. I'll send the follow-up emails. And I kind of wanted to jump back to something where I said creates a site map. So when I took over, we were running about 250 people at a meet. And I come not from an orienteering background. I come from a parent background and a professional project management background. And I said, well, what's going to make parents choose us? Seattle has a huge variety of events that kids can go to. They're very dialed in. They're used to their either their high school sports or their middle school sports or their youth league. Or their select soccer team. And so they're used to some level of you know, like I said, professionalism, consistency. Why are they going to pick us? And you know, I said, I'm going to do this site map for parents. So I didn't do it on an orienteering map. I did a Google snippet. And, you know, Mike Shue, who's pictured here and I think is here, you know, was arguing with me, why are you not doing this on an orienteering map? Well, I wanted to try and get people that weren't orienteers to come. And so I kind of looked at it of a lens of this is our product and how are we going to get more customers? And not everybody knows orienteering. And so we do certain things like a site map that is not on an orienteering map, a what you need to know mail that isn't just orienteering facts. You know, we don't call our categories orange, yellow, red, blue. That's very orienteering specific, but that's not what the high school and middle school kids are. They want to run middle school. They want to run elementary. They want to run varsity. They know those terms. And so I think we've been pretty successful in getting this to be a sport that is more understood by the local schools. And then if the student is good and they want to go on, then they can learn about blue, yellow, orange, and what that equates to. So we have an ePunch team then readies the controls. They load the attendance and the course info. They monitor download. They do all the posting of the results. The registrar is sending and answering emails nonstop, making sure all the while RSVPs are in. She creates the start list. She sends that to coaches, the printer, and she deals with all the chaos that is being the registrar. Like I said, we are lucky enough to have Caroline Sambo, former US athlete, as our training coordinator. I kind of went through what she does. And then I would say, how can you create your own student league for your club? Start small. Even WIOL started as just 4 events. The 1992 WIOL champ had 2 course levels and 12 results. WIOL began as a fitness bridge between high school cross country and spring track. It was the idea of Daniel Waugh to try and figure out a way to get kids still running between those 2 sports. I say be consistent. We expanded once meets were planned, communicated in advance, and school teams became an important goal. So at that awards ceremony, I am handing out save the dates. So ROTC commanders are able to schedule drill meets around our WIOL meets, and people are able to put us in their calendar. I would say have enough volunteers, both high level and day of meet, to manage all the details that make meets run well. And mind the details, because happy customers are returning customers. And often it is the small details that make people really happy. So we invite you to come to Seattle and see us in action. And I have a couple other data slides that Matt Robbins asked me to put together. But other than that, that is my presentation. If you wanted to see a couple more data slides, if you want to look at our 505 registrations, that is the breakout. So 83 elementary students, 112 middle school, 112 running JV rookie. So JV rookie is a category that Julia Morris and myself created when we came on board, because we were learning that there were a lot of high schoolers, especially on the ROTC side, who had never orienteered before, and dumping them out into a JV girls or a JV boys category, or sorry, into JV was just not fair. So we created a beginner level for high school, never orienteered before. And you can see it's grown to 112 people. That means a lot less people lost in the woods, a lot less search and rescue, and a lot more returning kids because they're not discouraged. You can see we're all the way up to running 6 kids in collegiate JV and 9 kids in collegiate varsity, which we only started a couple of years ago, so I'm pretty excited. Somebody asked me about, what do you mean you're the cheapest game in town? Well, we're only charging $66 for 8 meets. and $10 if you want to rent an e-punch for the entire season. If you don't want to buy a pass, it's $10 a meet. That is still super cheap. And we offer a discount, $10 off if you register by October 12th. And we also offer financial aid. Public registration prices, $22 base price, subtract $5 if you are a Cascade member, and $5 if you own your own e-punch. And then if you want to go as a group, it's just $5 for each additional group member and no cost for minors. And then somebody asked me about the behind the scenes volunteers. So there's 23 behind the scenes that do every meet, and another 26 who do at least one meet, and that being the course designers and the mappers. But you can kind of see how that is distributed.
So we've got a couple people with hands raised. Joseph was first. Go ahead, Joseph.
How many total meets a year do you have, including the program?
You mean including the other series at Cascade or just mine?
No, all the total number of meets that Cascade has, including everything.
Ing, you on here?
Yes.
Wednesday thing is 6, right? Choose Your Adventure is 6.
Almost 30. I don't think we typically get up to 30, but it's on like 26, between 26 and 25 and 30.
So about a third of your meets are part of this series.
That's true.
Okay, that's great. Thank you.
And I think Andrea was next.
2 questions. One is, do you also have rookies for the college?
That's college JV is the beginner college level.
Okay. And then
I would go to a rookie if we got bigger.
Okay. And the other question is, we struggle a lot of time with costs for some of the schools. They have to do a lot of fundraising because, well, they're, schools are not, or our athletes are not that affluent. So what kind of equipment is kind of expected, or what do some of the schools provide? Like, for example, some of our schools, I think, do compasses, but as they get better, do any schools provide more, or do they expect the athletes to buy it, and that goes again into the cost for the athlete?
Yeah, I think it depends by team. So like I said, you can rent an e-punch for the season from Cascade for $10. You can borrow a plate compass for free. We hand out whistles for free. And we were noticing that a lot of the ROTC teams were using tape to tape a control description sheet to their arm. We started providing the tape, then that just got too cumbersome. So I ordered some control description sheet holders in bulk, and we charged cost, which was $5 each. And I would say every student or team bought those. Individual teams have fundraisers. I know Tahoma has done some types of fundraising so that they can put on their trainings and print their maps. I know some JROTC get funding or do fundraisers. Other teams, the parents just pay for that equipment. But compared to almost anything else, you're getting the whistle for free. You can rent the e-punch. It's not a lot of equipment cost out of hand. We have a lot of low income on the ROTC side, and we offer financial aid. We don't want anyone not running because of money.
Okay, I think Blake was next. He's next.
There we go. Am I unmuted?
We can hear you.
Okay, great. You mentioned having the clue card holders that you got in bulk. Where did you get the bulk clue card holders? That's something we probably ought to look into.
Yes.
Best of O.
Pardon?
Was it Best of O in Latvia?
Yeah. Yeah, it might have been. Wasn't it in Bulgaria?
Yeah, something like that.
Something like
It
Bulgaria.
wasn't all for O, but I think it was Best of O.
Yeah, I think it was Best of O. And we happened to know someone from COC who was living in Bulgaria, and they made sure it was a legit company.
You can also buy a decent thumb compass on Amazon for less than $10 now.
Thank
And I
you.
wanted to add too, going back to Andrea's question about the beginners at college level, the JV class is put on an easier course to start with, and then halfway through the season, we move them to a more difficult class so they don't step in to the longest course like the varsity college kids.
And also, I want to add to Ing's statement is that this is one of those things where I say we're very detailed. We will look at the names of the kids who signed up for collegiate JV because it's so small, you know, it's under 10. And we will say, oh, every one of these kids ran in WIOL. So we're going to make, but they don't want to do long advance because they don't want to run that far. So then we'll set the level based on that. And, or we'll say, oh, these guys, you know, the most they ever did is JV, or they've never done anything except land nav. And so we'll set it at a lower starting point. Okay.
So I think Joseph and Andrea in that order are the queue at the moment. Joseph?
No, I forgot to take my hand down. Sorry.
Oh. And Andrea.
Just a quick comment on, I worked with Chloe. No Name is a sponsor of the OUSA uniform, or has been for the last whatever many years. No Name changed the rep in the USA to a company that carries not only No Name, and they included recently a control sheet holder, a control description holder, just as an FYI. But Chloe also has experience with them and might be interesting.
So I wanted cheap because I wanted people to be able to afford it, and I wanted to move everybody off of tape. So I found the one that looked decent but was the least expensive in bulk.
The ones they included is not No Name because they carry a lot of other things. So it might be feasible to work with them to see what they can source.
Okay.
Okay, I'm going to jump in. I realize this is ancient history, but back in 1982 when this started, was there anyone in schools asking for this, or was there a club member who worked in a school, or did you just create a junior competitive league and?
That was way before my time. Bob or Kathy, are you on the call?
Yes, I'm out here on Kathy's. I'll answer. It was started by a cross-country coach. So it had automatic buy-in at the cross-country level, at least in one school. And he was able to get a couple of other coaches from other schools in there. And so, yeah, it was small, but it existed at the high school level and had enough buy-in to get, you know, a dozen kids there.
Yeah, I mean, it's, well, I mean, the obstacle of just getting it started is obviously significant. Yeah, if there isn't already a competitive league who is going to be interested in it for competitive reasons. These days, does it mostly grow by word of mouth now?
Yeah, We do no, this is the crazy part. We do no recruiting. We don't go into schools. We don't pay for ads. You know, we talked about it, and we talked, and things ebb and flow. So, for example, before I took over, there was a private school in Seattle on the Lakeside, and their name's all over these trophies. And now Lakeside doesn't even have a team. And so what we've seen happen is that if you have a strong coach, then your school team continues. If you don't have a coach that's willing to continue on, or a school that offers it as a sport, then it can die off. So I'll give you an example. My children got involved because a person named Julia Morris went to the elementary school and said, I'd like to start this after school sport. The only thing you offer in the fall is basketball, and not every kid can play basketball.